Okay, and then once we get the live stream up, I'll go ahead and mute it so we're not talking over ourselves. There we go. Mute and okay, here we go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and happy Wednesday. We always like to celebrate Wellness Wednesday. It's the middle of the week, and sometimes we're either rearing to go and we're moving through it, or we're starting to drag and it's like, oh, it's Wednesday. But you know what? Let's take a pause and let's think of, the things that we can celebrate on a Wellness Wednesday. And today we are super excited and honored to be here with you through the International Women in Business Mastermind program, which has been being hosted by the Empowerment Empire for the last 4 years. And we are about to go on year 5, which is super exciting. And because of all of the amazing women who have expressed interest in being one of our guest speakers, we are now hosting twice a month. So you get to have us in the International Women in Business Mastermind program, where we feature women from all over the world who are sharing their expertise, offering the insights to the world that they have created as entrepreneurs and as business owners. And today is nothing short of awesomeness. I wanted to thank and welcome our guest today. Cristal Iris Jacobo is our special guest today, and she is a soul mentor, a breathwork teacher, and founder of She Is Made for More, which I really love, and I'm looking forward to learning more about that. She also hosts her own Soul Radio podcast, and we're going to be talking today about reconnect and receive. So as founder of She Is More, an organization that hosts retreats, events, and memberships, Cristal offers a certification program to help other leaders around the world master the breath and gain soul tools so that they can bring to their community. Cristal believes who and what we become in life and business is directly correlated to the subconscious soul programming we've all received through our childhood. Her curriculum gives individuals the tools to connect to who they are and what is true for them, away from who they grew up to be, so that they can show up in life and in business bold and confident every day. Make sure to connect with her online at cristaljacobo.com. I posted her link in the introduction to today's program. And remember that the International Women in Business Masterminds are monthly. And if you're unable to catch the live program, you could always register to receive the recording. And if you ever have any questions about how to connect with our featured speakers, please let me know, and I can certainly connect you with them. So with that, I want to welcome to the program this morning, Cristal. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, it is an honor to be here, and I'm excited to share the tools, the strategies to go ahead and share it all with your community.
Yay, thank you. And we are live streaming here. This video will be downloaded and put onto our new Empowerment Empire YouTube channel, which I'll post the link for. But also for all of the group that we're live streaming in on Facebook today, it is our Latina Entrepreneurs Jefas Unidas Facebook group. And we are super honored and excited to be celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month this month and really featuring all Latinas in our International Women in Business Mastermind for the month. So I want to recognize that and to call attention, and also to take a moment to give pause to everyone in Puerto Rico right now. We have been watching you on the news, and as well as so many in Southern California who are also experiencing these crazy storms. I know on the East Coast, we have a lot of crazy storms happening. So let's take a moment to just wish them, a swift recovery, and that hopefully, we can do what we can to support that as well. So let's definitely keep an open mind for them and keep our hearts open and our prayers and wishes out there for them. Cristal, tell us about how you got started in your entrepreneurial journey. Let's start there.
Yeah, so I am actually, I was a school teacher. I have my master's degree, my bachelor's by credential. I grew up in a very poor household. And I always say it was very rough. My parents were both working. We were barely making ends meet. They were working out in the fields. And I remember as a very young girl, I am the oldest of 4 siblings. And my dad would always tell me, you don't want this life. You don't want this life. You want better. You want better. And I was I was maybe 5, 6 years old when he would have these deep conversations with me of, we want more for you. We want you to go to school. We want you to one day own a house and have a career. So at a very young age, I was told, okay, you need to become someone because your parents came from Mexico here and they're working the best that they can to give you a better life. And that was something that was always instilled in me. So through school, I basically just tried my best. I had a speech delay, so I couldn't speak very well. And I was always put in speech classes. I had to work extra hard. I always tell my parents, I had to work a little extra hard, but I did. I was the first person in my family to graduate middle school, graduate high school, graduate college, graduate bachelor's, the master's. Like I was the first one. After me, my siblings, they started the journey too. I think it was less scary. And then as I became a teacher, I was a teacher for 5 years. There was something there was a gut feeling that there was something more out there for me. I didn't want to feel ungrateful because I had a roof over my head. I remember when we were little, we used to go to yard sales in a specific town. Yeah. And I would always tell my mom, I want a house in this town because that was like considered, I remember back then I was like, this is considered the rich area. I want to be rich one day. And I remember telling my mom, I want a house here, Mom. I want a house here. And I wanted a corner house because I always thought when I grow up and I buy roller skates, I can roller skate around the whole town and come back right to my house. So that was always my words. As I became 21 and I started looking for a house. I was already a school teacher. I was the youngest one in the district. And the house exactly in the neighborhood where I used to go to yard sales went up for sale. It was a corner house. So I bought it. I was in a house. My God. Yes. I was a school teacher. Like everything was good. But there was that little feeling of maybe there's more. And I always thought I'm ungrateful. There's something wrong with me. Why am I not happy with the life that I have? Yeah. And little like that feeling of I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know. I think I got lost in the purpose of trying to show everybody that I was what they wanted. I got lost in my own achievements rather than figuring out who I was.
I can certainly relate. I think that's what I did as well, as like, I did the path. Like in high school, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to go into the Navy. I want to go to college. I want to have this career. And I'm going to be this like hardcore business person. And then and then like, I think I hit like my 30s and I was like, so I do this, but who am I? And started to do some pretty deep soul searching at that point.
Yeah. And that's kind of what happened. And that feeling of, and I kept telling teachers, like one of my closest teachers' friend, I was like, hey, do you ever feel like we're meant for more? And she looked at me and I remember this conversation like it happened yesterday. She said, Cristal, I know what you're trying to tell me. She said, but I don't feel that. I don't feel that. She's like, I'm very happy being a teacher. I could work here 35 years and then die and know I lived a happy life. She said, I think there's something wrong with you because you keep hinting at that. And I think when she told me that, I was so devastated.
Yeah, that.
Because I felt like, okay, well, what's wrong with me? What is wrong with me, Cristal? And I would pray and I would sit there. And eventually, I remember telling myself, I'm 24 at this time. Maybe I can leave. Maybe I couldn't. I chickened out and I didn't leave. So at 26, I finally was like, you know what? I'm 26. Worst case scenario, I can come back to teaching. And I left. I pulled my retirement money out. I sold the house. I was engaged at this time. I called off my wedding. I basically ran away from my own life. I ran away. And then for a whole year, I started going to retreats. I started figuring out who Cristal was. I didn't even realize how disconnected I was from myself until I started the journey. Yeah. Then I realized in my soul searching, there's so much beliefs we carry. There's so much expectations I had from my parents that didn't even let me figure out who Cristal was because I was so caught up trying to be who they wanted me to be. Yeah. And it overpowered my life. And through that, I realized every single thing I did it for them. There was not a single thing that I did for myself. And it kind of started the journey of, wait a minute. I sat down at a retreat one day and I was like, I have a master's degree in building curriculum. I'm building curriculum for the school system. What if I'm meant to build curriculum for the soul? And that kind of sparked something there. I built my very first program, not knowing what I was doing. I launched it and it sold out. I started the podcast, just wanted to share little things that I was finding. Hey, I found this about me. Hey, I found this. Hey, I don't know if anybody's experiencing this, but like, here it is. And women started connecting. And I just wanted to figure out, I wanted to help somebody who was one day where I was feeling.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the whole journey started. Along the roads, I realized a lot of my clients that were coming in, they were new moms. And that's a journey that I hadn't personally gone through because birth a child. But the biggest common thing that was happening was every single new mom that was coming in through our community, they felt disconnected. They felt ungrateful because they had this beautiful child, but at the same time, their bodies had shifted, their mentalities, and it was a whole other field but it was the same common thing of feeling disconnected from our being. Yeah. And as we started doing more and more work, that's where the concept came. She's made for more, because I think as women, we love so hard, and we love so hard that we forget to love ourselves.
We do.
We put everyone else before, like the husband's needs, the kids' needs, this needs, the neighborhood's needs. Like, we want to take care of everybody. And I think that's what makes women so beautiful, is that their big willingness to love and help the world.
Yeah. We are always the last ones to sit down at the table.
Yes.
We are always putting ourselves, behind the needs of everyone else. In one of my coaching programs, we talk about, like, you have to take care of number one, and don't think of that as being selfish, because, I have a daughter, I've got, aging parents. I used to help with my grandmother when she was still alive. And it was hard for me to accept the fact that maybe I needed to put myself first sometimes. I felt like that was selfish of me. That wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. I was supposed to be making sure everyone else was okay. Yeah. But who was going to be responsible for making sure I was okay? I was an adult. I should have been okay. And so I thought. And when I finally started realizing that I need to take care of number one, because if I'm not full, if my cup is always empty, how can I actually give the amount that I want to be able to give if I am so depleted? And when I realized that, then, I feel like we definitely are soul sisters in that, I started looking for ways to fill myself up, and going to retreats, having different coaches, come and help mentor me, going through, finding an amazing therapist. I think everyone should have a therapist.
Yes.
But just realizing that it is okay to focus on yourself at times in your life, because if we don't take care of ourselves, then we can't continuously pour the love out of us to those around us that we care so much about, and the communities that we care so much about. Tell us about the podcast. So tell me more about that.
Yeah. Before we go into that, there's a phrase that I love using in our community, and I always tell people, like, you have to take care of yourself so the world gets the best of you and not what's left of you.
Oh, I like that.
Favorite phrases. I'm like, the world deserves the best of you, so take care of you and they will get it. Otherwise, they're gonna get like the moody parts, the grouchy parts. They're gonna get that. But if we love people so much, why would we give them the worst end when we can give them the best end?
Yeah, I love that a lot. We got to put that on an Instagram image and put that out there. If you don't already have it on there.
Yeah, I have it on there. I can send it to you. About the podcast. So the podcast really started with, like I said, my journey of, like, anything that I was finding out, anything that my own breakthroughs. I would go to these retreats. I would get coached. I would work through with somebody. I would have these big ahas, and I couldn't wait to talk to somebody. At that time, I didn't want to talk to my parents, because every time I talked to my parents, my mom would always tell me, like, well, I did the best that I could raising you. I did the best that I could. And I felt like there was this big wedge that was happening between me and my parents, where they felt that I was blaming them. And I think, going back, in a sense, I kind of was. I didn't know why or how I turned it out. And I would always, it has to be this, it has to be that. In a way it was, but my outlet was the podcast. I would hop on there and tell the podcast, hey, this is what happened. Hey, now I think about 4 years into the journey, I realized going through my own trauma works and healing my own self, I realized that if I had gone through this big identity crisis, I can only imagine what my parents went through, and then their parents, and then their grandparents. And it's these expectations that were passed down from generations to generations. So now I've had beautiful conversations with both of my parents where we've apologized to one another. It brought us together, but we realized how important internal work is and working on yourself, because now even my dad will continually be working on his self-development, and he'll message me, hey, did you hear this? Did you hear this concept? And it's a beautiful thing, but that's really what the podcast started. And as we started the podcast, it started growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
And right now, we bring women on there to share their soul journey, their things that have happened. We bring on, sometimes we have their husbands, men, company owners. Like, we have so many people, and we have real, I always call it real raw conversations. Like, we talk about the ugly, we talk about the stuff that nobody's talking about, because we want you to know that we're all in this, we all go through this bad season. So you're not alone, but also every single one of us is either fighting, and we can give you tools to tell you what's happening, or we've made it through and we can tell you what'll happen if you don't give up.
Yeah, we have to take that opportunity to, if we're feeling those feelings, if we're feeling like, we are not connected to who we feel inside that we are, is to take that opportunity to give yourself a chance to find out who that is. Tell us about your topic, reconnect and receive, and how do you go through that? How do you share that with your clients and what you do?
Yeah, so as I was in the journey, and especially when I got out into entrepreneurship, I realized that there's a big thing in entrepreneurship with like hustle and grind and push through. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was working all the time. I was doing strategy. I realized that you could do all the strategy you want in the world, but if embodied, you don't feel worthy to receive, you're going to continue to push away your blessings. You're going to push away opportunities. You're going to push away clients, because internally you don't feel embodied. You don't feel connected. As I was doing this work, I went through about 6 months of just having no clients. I just blocked everyone off. And I really sat with my own energy, and I was like, Cristal, you can be the most amazing coach. You can be this, but if you don't feel worthy within, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I started implementing new strategies. I started changing my routines, and I started realizing that energy is like music. Like, when you go in a car ride, you have to tune into the music that's going to make you feel good and you're going to be in a good drive. That's exactly energy. When you are an entrepreneur, you have to tune into the energy of abundance. You have to tune into the energy of worthiness, or else you're not going to enjoy the ride of entrepreneurship, just like you wouldn't enjoy the ride if, I don't know, if you're listening to a song that you really hate on the road, you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're still going to be driving because that's your job to drive.
Yeah.
But you're not going to enjoy it, and you're not going to have a good time, and you're 10 times more likely to quit because you're not enjoying the ride. And that's the biggest shift that I always talk about. It's like energy is like music. You have to be able to tune into it. You have to be able to realize when you're moving from a place of fear, lack, and have to be able to tone that music down and turn up the one that you actually want.
How do you recommend one does that? How do we work through the turning down of the chaotic noise and the turning up of the vibes of abundance, of prosperity, of health and wellness for our own selves?
The first thing I always tell people is you need to make sure you're doing something for yourself on the daily that raises the frequency of your life. And when I explain this, people always think, oh, I have to meditate, I have to take the weekend off. It can be something as simple as putting your favorite song and having a karaoke session to it. It doesn't have to be this big thing that we overthink it. Something that I did is I bought a trampoline on Amazon, like a baby little trampoline, and I have it right by my door. And nice. When I'm busy, I literally just jump on that trampoline like 30 seconds. I will just jump up and down, but it puts me in such a good state where energetically I feel good. And when you feel good, you attract good. When you feel like you're scared, when you feel this, you're going to attract more opportunities that are going to prove that, because our brain is constantly looking to prove that you are right. I always tell people, like, your brain's like the ego, the best friend that tries to like prove I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. But if it's currently in a state of fear, it's going to attract opportunities that remind you of those fears. It's going to look for everything wrong in life to say, see, I told you we shouldn't have done it. I told you we shouldn't have done it. Because the brain is trying to prove that you are right.
Yeah.
But if you can vibrate from a frequency of I feel good, you're going to attract things that make you feel good. The other thing that I tell people is, on the daily, look for good things in your life, because your brain is always trying to prove that it's right. I am a weird machine, I always tell people, of looking for the good things in life. And when I started doing this, I didn't really believe this. To be 100% honest, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this is going to work. But I started bragging about the smallest things. Like if I would go to the grocery store and find a parking like right next to the door, I'd be like, oh, the God, universe is always working for me. God's always work. Whoever you believe in, universe like wanted to give me the best parking here. The universe is conspiring in my favor 24/7. I was at a grocery store once and I told my husband, how I forgot I need a ranch. And I was like, but I don't want to go all the way back there and find the ranch. I happened to be walking by like the cleaning supplies and somebody had left a ranch bottle there. And I turned around and yeah, they just put the bottle there. And I told my husband, I was like, the universe is always taking care of me. Look at it, just put this ranch here to make my life easier. I just put it in there.
Yeah.
That's a common law that we practice in one of our courses. And we have a thread of abundance. Every single day in there, people say, hey, I always celebrate good things happen to me. From as small as like, hey, somebody's bringing me lunch. I forgot my lunch. Somebody just brought me lunch. Hey, I have a bill to pay. I needed $700. I went to my mailbox and I have a check of $900 waiting for me from something that happened 3 years ago. Like the more obsessed you can get about the good things happening, your brain is going to try and prove to you that there's more good things happening. So it's going to constantly look for more good things to celebrate.
Yeah. I love that so much. It's I try to do that with my daughter, especially. She just started a new school and she's really worried about making new friends. And she, just started music class today. And she was like, what if I don't know how to do the things that the teacher is asking me to do? And I'm like, look at this as such an awesome opportunity. You get to meet new people that's not in your regular class. Maybe you're going to meet your next best friend in music class. Maybe you find that you really like going there because then you get an extra 10 minutes of playtime in the morning after music class and before regular class starts.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I didn't think about that. I like the idea of getting extra playtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something as simple as just, I love that. And I agree wholeheartedly. Let's, take the opportunity to try to find the good in everything. Because, days are hard and difficulties will, drop on our laps. But if we, try to shift our focus on a consistent basis, then it becomes, and the more that we do it, the more that we do it.
Natural.
Yeah.
How
do you, so I know that you talked about, so reconnecting and receive. Tell us what you would like to share with the audience. We have about 15 minutes still left, so we've got plenty of time with incorporating the breath work as a breath work teacher. Tell us about that. I'm always very, very interested in breath work and how that affects our lives.
Yeah. So our brain is constantly overthinking, whether we want to or not. It'll overthink.
I know mine certainly is.
It'll like worry about what's happening in a week, even though we don't know. Or you'll be sleeping in the middle of the night, say, hey, I wonder where that shirt went. And now we're thinking about where we last placed that shirt, because it happens to me all the time. So our brain is literally wired to protect us. And I always tell people there's the three main functions of the brain is to protect you, to make sure that you're not in danger. And the last one is to make sure you are happy. When I found that out, I was like, well, my brain is making sure I'm breathing, I'm okay, but the last thing is happiness. So it doesn't care about our happiness. And that's where you go into your body. Your body is an amazing guide. It always knows where you're going. That's why sometimes we get that little feeling, like if it's ever happened to you, where you're like, oh, I shouldn't do this. You get the feeling, you don't listen, and you still do it. And then you're like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done this opportunity, or I should have, and I didn't. That is your body trying to speak to you. So many of us in this world don't slow down and listen to our body. We try to go the very logical route, the A, B, like which one weighs more, what are the best options? And then we end up regretting it. The reason we regret it is because our body has a lot of the answers. The problem is quieting our mind. When you can get into your breath, there's different states that your body goes through. Number one is just being in the state of calm, so you feel good. It's this state really helps with stress if you're having an overwhelmed day, like just the stuff to help you relax. Then there's the second state of your breath. The second state of your breath actually helps you drop deeper. And if there's decisions you're making, if there's things that you have to do, you can get a very solid answer as to what you have to do. Then there's the last state of the breath that you drop even deeper, which is the state of you being able to visualize where you're going, you being able to visualize, to rewrite the past in your mind, really healing a wound and being able to connect with, I forgive that part of myself, and now I feel 10 times free. Depending on the state of your breath, you can envision so much, you can feel so free, you can let go of so much. The breath can even be used to help heal diseases. There's so much like health benefits to the breath, but there's also so much benefits to when it comes to clarity. And I love to use it for clarity. I think the other health benefits are just a plus side, but I love to get into the breath, especially when you're reconnecting and receiving. There's so many people, like even if you were to tell somebody, hey, I love your shoes, the first thing they're going to tell you is, oh my, these things, I got them for $10 at so-and-so. Like,
I do that.
I always tell myself, like, why is that a thing? Why can't we just receive with an open heart and say, thank you? You know, your hair looks gorgeous today. Thank you. We don't need to constantly, like, I've seen it over and over where we feel like if you give me a compliment, I have to like shoot you a compliment right back. And that is the first sign of us being detached from being able to feel worthy. Are you able to just take a compliment and not feel guilty about it? Especially when people buy you a coffee or they buy something, we feel the need, oh, they bought me coffee, so that means I have to buy it for them next week. Yeah. Just allow yourself to receive, because I truly don't believe that God, the universe, angels, whoever you believe in is out there saying, she's worthy, her not so much, them for sure. And I think when you can put that into perspective, it sounds silly, but it's so true. It's so true. And I tell myself all the time, if I'm living and breathing, I am worthy, or else I wouldn't be on this planet. So the same reminder goes to everybody listening to, if you're breathing and living, your dreams are worthy, you're capable of achieving them, like you have what it takes. You just have to embody that feeling. So what's really cool about breath work is that when you can get in a state of breathing, you can envision the woman that you're becoming, and in your breath, you can drop down into her. You can pull the belief from her. You can envision the life that you're going for, see it before you're actually living it, and connect with that feeling. I always tell people, when you can feel embodied in the work that you do, when you feel embodied in your own confidence, when you feel embodied that I'm here for a purpose, you become ruthless to feel the mission that you have on this earth. And you're not scared. You share it with the world because in your soul, you feel it. And there's a difference between, I always tell people, with when we do the work with mindset, I can say all the affirmations I want. I can recite all the declarations, but if I don't feel it in my heart, they don't mean anything. And so many people will do mindset work for years and years and years, and then they'll give up. Oh, this doesn't work. Well, it could have worked for other people, but breath work actually lets you feel it. It lets you get a little taste of it, and you get addicted to, whoa, if this is what I felt now, what am I going to feel when I actually believe in myself, when I actually feel connected to myself? And it just continues to grow. So that's what we do with breath work. We've done different challenges, from like 7 days of breathing to classes for breath. We've done specific sessions for manifesting, for embodiment. We can tailor the breath to fit whatever need we want to release, and to go ahead and put you in the state that you actually want to be put in.
Is it possible to do a breath work exercise with us this morning?
We can. Usually when we do breath work, like there's music and I kind of set it up to do it. But something that I always tell people is, when you're in a state of chaos or your brain is overthinking, you want to start with taking a big breath, inhale through your nose. So just kind of guide it, and whoever's watching it, they can do the replay. But you want to take a big inhale through your nose and get as much air as you want in, and you're going to exhale it out. And you're going to want to do that 4 times. So big inhale through your nose and exhale. And 2 more, big inhale through your nose. Last one, big inhale through your nose. And for this last part, you're going to inhale nice and big, and you're going to hold at the top. Inhale and hold. And notice how your mind tries to hijack the experience. And it says, you can't, but you can. Until your body is ready, you get to let go of that breath. And here is where 90% of people quit too early in life. When you can sit there at your desk, at your car, like right before you're going to pick up the kids from school, do 4 quick breaths and then hold at the top, your mind is learning, I am so powerful. Because even though my mind is trying to hijack me and say, okay, we're dying, there's something, why aren't we breathing? Your body is slowly starting to take control of the experience and learns, no, you don't tell me what to do, I tell you what to do. I know, you know, your bodies, women's bodies are, men's bodies, everybody's body, but women's bodies in particular are so amazing. They birth humans, they create life. They're so powerful. And I think we disconnect from that feeling because life is so chaotic and we're busy doing. But with slowing down and taking 4 deep breaths, big, activating your lungs, activating your body, the last one holding at the top, you slowly start taking that feeling of, I am powerful.
I definitely have to say that I felt that strength in that last holding the breath. And you're right. As soon as you get to the top of that breath and you're holding it, and your body is like, first your body's trying to figure out, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Then you settle into this, like, okay, I understand what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel the strength. I felt the strength, I think, of my body coming in and saying, no, you've got this. Like, you're not in danger. You are absolutely able to do this. And that it reminds us, like, what else can we do? You know?
Yeah. Because the 4 breaths that we do at the beginning, they're simply to let go of anything. So if you're storing any stress, if you're storing any like emotions, you push them out. And you can be very aggressive with your breath. You can do a big inhale and like let it go. You can be very gentle. It just depends on how you feel in your body. But then the last one, when you hold, and I've done this at centers, I've done this when I do classes, and people immediately want to let go. And then there's these people, there's a few of them, they're like, I'm going to do it again. They inhale and they hold, and they will hold for so long. And they will be sitting there and they will be just in their power. And then they'll finally go, and they feel so connected because for a minute, their mind wasn't telling them what to do. They were in control.
I definitely felt that all of the workings of my schedule and all of the things that I've got, constantly going on in my brain actually took a back seat for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't about, what do I have coming up next? What are the contracts I need to send out later today?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was more just about, let me just be in my space, and let me just feel strong for myself and not keep the hamster wheel running, essentially.
Yeah.
Comes to mind.
And the beautiful thing is, like, that's state 1 of your breath. Like, it's very level based, just kind of grounds you a little bit.
Yeah.
As you get deeper into your breath, you start embodying, you start feeling really different. So I always tell people, like, there's different phases. So if you want like a quick fix, let me just get this stress out because I feel like I'm gonna go crazy right now. You can pull out in your car, do breath work really quickly. It doesn't have to be so intricate. Now, if you want to get deeper, there is deeper. That's exactly why we have the program where we teach people how to master the breath, the certification program, and how to learn all those modalities as well.
Tell me about your certification program.
Yeah, so our certification program is for anybody who wants to come into the wellness space. Whether you are a yoga teacher that wants to teach breathwork at your center, whether you are a mindset coach who wants to just take a deeper practice into your clients, or whether you've never done this work and coaching just calls you. I always tell people, when you can come into this space, you learn a lot of trauma work. So it's a 6-month certification program. The first 2 months, it's a lot of trauma work. Why we are the way we are, why we react the way we react. So you really get to learn about the human experience, the human beliefs, and where we store them and how we hold them. We walk through all that experience.
I'm posting the link to your breathwork program here in our live video feed, and I will add it also to the YouTube channel as well as the link to your website.
Yeah, so that's the first 2 months. Then we go into the second phase, which is the modalities of the breath. Here you learn phase 1 of the breath, phase 2 of the breath, phase 3. But what's really, really amazing about the certification program is because you've learned about trauma the first 2 months. Now we start integrating, wait a minute, if I am somebody who's an overachiever, what is the purpose of me overachieving? Why do I do that? And through the breath, I can help my client get deep into their overachieving state, tie it to the trauma, and realize, where did it stem from? Where did it start? They get to feel that feeling. They get to let go of that belief, and they get to, in their soul, which is the most important part of who we are, shed it and get to awaken to a new reality that gets to become them.
That's amazing. How often do you hold your courses?
We hold them. So this is a cohort. We hold it twice a year. We're actually right now in the season of enrolling the new coaches. We start October, the second week of October. So anybody who's listening to it and wants information, they can always book a call. The calls are completely free. We hop on the calls, we give them information. Sometimes they feel it in their heart, it's for them. Sometimes they're like, oh, I don't think it's for me right now, but I will be back next cohort. So the calls are completely free. We start the second week of October. So we're coming up, then it'll close out and it'll open up at the beginning of the year again for the second cohort, but we run it twice a year. And as we're in the certification program, the last 2 months that I love is that you get hands-on experience. I did a certification program my very first one, and I got all this knowledge and I felt so good, but the imposter syndrome took over me and I never really did anything with it. Yeah. And I was like, that's not going to happen. So here we have the last 2 months are hands-on experience. You practice on the other students practice on you. We have a community where if you feel ready, we let you practice on that community. As you leave the cohort, you feel ready to do retreats, to do events, to do Zoom sessions, anywhere you want on your family, but really, really feel like I have the tools. I know what I can do. I know how to master the breath. Now let me put it out into the world.
I love it. In our last few minutes, give us your some key takeaways that you want to make sure that the amazing people watching our IWB Mastermind can, and I know for one, we can start implementing with our, with the 4 breaths and holding the final one. Give us a couple more takeaways. Besides, I will post a link to, make sure that people are able to see your courses, your certification program, which sounds amazing. And send us off into our Wellness Wednesday with your final thoughts on, how we can continue to be, the best that we can without depleting ourselves. I think as such busy entrepreneurs, as such, multifaceted people who are always trying to do everything for everyone. Give us your final thoughts to send us off on this Wellness Wednesday.
I think as you go into your journey, whether it's motherhood, entrepreneurship, any journey you're in, you got to remember that new level is always going to come with the new devil. And It doesn't matter whether you're getting married anywhere. So when you recognize that fear is just part of the journey, it doesn't sabotage the journey. When you can recognize that fear is just, you get to hold hands with fear and do it anyway, but you also get to become the observer of your fears rather than the fears taking over. And there's a really amazing quick steps that I give all my private clients, but I always tell them, like, when you're in the season of fear, I need you to stop immediately, take one breath, whatever you need to do to ground yourself. And then I need you to observe that fear. And these are the 4 questions that have helped all our clients. And I need you, number 1, to get curious. And then ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Or really step number one is identify. Because under every fear, there is an actual emotion. There's a belief, there's something that you're feeling. So if I'm afraid of something, why? Maybe it's because I don't know how to do it. Okay, keep digging into, perhaps the feeling is like unworthiness. Once you figure out the feeling that you're feeling, identify it. Number two is ask yourself, when was the first time I ever felt this? If I can get into the feeling of unworthiness and I close my eyes and I think, when was the first time I ever felt this? I think of fourth grade. There was a scenario with the teacher, and I remember like I didn't get picked. And for some reason, it wasn't the story, but it's a story that I made for myself that specific day.
Yeah.
And moving forward, I felt unworthiness every time I didn't get picked. Every time I didn't feel like I was the one selected, I felt unworthiness. That was a story that little girl created, and she carried her entire life. Once you can identify the feeling, when you can ask yourself, when did I feel this for the very first time? Step number three is like, who gave this to you? And sit down in a second and write it out. Mr. So-and-so, this day, I was this, write what actually happened. Because half of the time, when you write out that story, you realize this isn't my truth anymore. That teacher didn't pick me because we were 29 kids in that class. It was literally impossible for everybody to pick. Like, once you can write it out, the belief diminishes and you find out, wait a minute, that isn't my truth. And you get to step and live in your own truth. When you can walk yourself through this process, you can help yourself rewrite the stories as you're stepping into these new levels. Because fear is just part of the journey. And I think that was the biggest thing that changed my entire life, is that I don't know if I'll ever be fully not afraid to do the next season of life, but I get to do it with fear and all. And I was born worthy, and so are you. Every single one of us were born worthy. If the idea was given to you, you have what it takes. No ifs, no buts.
That is so powerful that as soon as you said that there's going to be fear, so you might as well just take it along your journey with you and just do it with fear. I know so oftentimes we can stop ourselves from progressing because we're afraid. Whether it's starting a business, whether it's doing a new thing, whether it's entering into any sort of new journey in life, like how you stated, there will always be fear. And if we go in knowing that, then we don't stop the journey from happening. And thank you for acknowledging that. If you have this idea in your brain, it's put there for a reason.
You have what it takes. Like,
yeah.
And a lot of the times we tell people like, oh, my husband doesn't get it. Oh, my friend, they're not meant to get it. The idea wasn't given to them. It was given to you. So that's why communities are so important. Like the space that you're hosting here, because people in the community will get it. Your family wasn't meant to get it, or else the idea would have given to you and it would have been carried out, and now you would just be in the business with them. But no, it was given to you. And sometimes they're not meant to hold space for you, but you get to find people that do hold space for you. You get to plug in with people who are as weird and crazy as we are, but they were given the ideas just like you were given to you.
Thank you so much, Cristal. This has been a wonderful opportunity. I am honored to meet you, and I'm so grateful that you had an opportunity to join us for the International Women in Business Mastermind to talk with all of our viewers today. I think what you have shared is definitely something that everyone can incorporate into your lives. I know I will be incorporating it more into my life. I know I will be sharing it with my daughter. I know that I'll be sharing it with my parents. I know that what I love about some of the things that we learn here in the mastermind are things that we can immediately just put into place. And I really appreciate you sending us off with this idea that if you have this idea in your brain, you are certainly worthy of it. You thought of these things, or these things came to you, as entrepreneurs, which, most of our audience are women entrepreneurs, as people who are creatives, who come up with these things. It's not just because for no reason.
Yeah.
You were given these gifts and these ideas.
Not because there's something wrong with you. It's not
right.
that. Yeah.
You have this gift. Now grab onto it and share it with the world with all of your gusto. And remember to take time for yourself to also to replenish yourself so that, as Cristal said earlier, you can give your best to the world.
Yeah.
Because that's what we always want to be able to do. For any of you who are interested in participating in an International Women in Business Mastermind program as a guest speaker, please reach out to me. I'll go ahead and post my contact information here below as well. Please reach out to Cristal, book a call with her, give her some love and some shout out on her pages. I will make sure that all of her information is presented for you so that you can reach out. If you are catching the replay of this and you're not here with us live, please make sure that you comment, make a post, and I will certainly reach out to Cristal so that she knows if someone has a question for her. I'll make sure that she gets added to this string so that we can certainly keep the conversation going. Oh, it says, let's see. Oh, where do you register? Hi, Bella. Thank you so much. Oh, she says, amen. Thank you, Cristal. Beautiful soul and sending so much love. I will certainly post the link below, Bella, on where you can register for the upcoming programs as an attendee, as well as how to inquire about being a speaker.
Yeah.
With that, thank you so very much, Cristal. It was phenomenal to start off our wonderful.
Yeah, and just remember to celebrate yourself. Like, your number one job today, homework, celebrate yourself. Like, find something to celebrate, find something to say, this is like, the universe is conspiring in my favor. Yes. And it's giving me this, this, and that. Like, that's your job. Celebrate yourself.
Thank you so much. I will be in touch with you as well. And I'm looking forward about, continuing to watch the programming that you do, continuing to watch, your growth as well. And we look forward to featuring, we take all of the recordings from this and we put them into our Empowerment Empire YouTube channel. And then we also feature all of our amazing speakers in the upcoming issue of Magistra Magazine. So you'll be able to get a little snippet of some of our amazing presenters coming up for our fall issue that'll be out later this month. Thank you again.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.